What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I am your host, Nefarious.
And I'm Frequency Girl.
And tonight we're pleased to welcome Adam Hock, known to the chat as Hocky from Ad Hoc Art, here to tell us all about his creator-owned comic book crowdfunding campaign, Curiosities and Oddities Emporium, The Dress, now live on Indiegogo. Hocky, my man, what is up?
I'm the Ad Hoc Artist. So good to be. You did that title very well. Most people, including myself, stumble over that title all the time.
Curiosities and Oddities Emporium, The Dress. I mean, that's not that hard, right?
I know, it's a mouthful.
Rhythm to it.
You only have one colon. That's only
one colon. Everyone,
fine, right?
That's it. It's a big title. It only just fit in the Indiegogo title part. So I think I had two characters left. I was going, oh my god.
Well, you used big words, right? Like you're edumacated and stuff, like curiosities and emporium. Most people don't know what the hell that means.
But I didn't have to abbreviate featured on the frequency in order to fit the title in, so you're good. We've had shows where I've had to do FOTF because once I put everything else in, it's like, no, you've used too many characters. Titles aren't supposed to be that long.
I mean, you could have just called it Pawn Shop, right? Like,
that's it.
It doesn't have the same ring.
Besides, if you're from Long Island, it may sound like a different kind of shop.
Yes, I know. But I really like the title because it gives that sense of mystery. You go into those weird old shops and you're just going, what the hell is in here? That's kind of, you see a name like that, you think, oh yeah, this is weird.
There was one, so it did two things for me. So the first thing is Curiosities and Oddities Emporium. If you've ever played Skyrim, when you go to a particular town, I want to say, I can't remember the name of the town. I'm going to mess it up. Is it it's not Markarth. It's not, I don't remember. It's the one right in the middle with the other Jarl, the King of the Stormcloaks and whatever. Anyway, there's a plot line called Blood on the Snow or on the Ice or something. And it turns out that the bad guy there, spoilers for those of you who haven't played a 20-year-old game, is the shop owner of the curio store. It's called Colexo's Curios. And so when I read this, I was like, oh, that's what that brought up in my mind, like a strange store with all sorts of weird things that might be enchanted or like have otherworldly properties. So right away it hit that note for me, and that's pretty much what this book is about. It's about the shop and all of the strange and wonderful things inside that have stories behind them and may affect the mortal world in supernatural ways. And the other thing it made me think of was like this weird pawn shop that used to be like down the block from me on Columbus Avenue, and it disappeared, I guess what would be 30 years ago now, because honestly, rents and everything, and they didn't make any money. But it was one of those shops where you walked in, they had like a vase full of canes, and one of them would be a sword cane, and they had like a big case full of jewelry, and like one of them would be like a really old antiqued like a profile. What are they called? The little,
like a bust, a cameo.
Yeah, cameo. Thank you. Little cameos of like some English ruler or something. Who knows? But some would be like faux jewelry, like costume jewelry, and sometimes it'd be real jewelry. But it's one of those situations, like I like in your preview pages, there's a rhino head on the wall, and it's like that's exactly what would be there, right? Like, why would you be shopping here for a dress? But we'll get to that in a few minutes. You've been a long.
Mobig says Skyrim belongs to the Nords. You can't change my mind.
It does belong.
I gotta get that in there before
I'm with you, Mo. I'm with you.
And Travis says you had me a porn shop.
Did I say porn shop?
It sounded like you said that. That's why I was making the joke about.
Well, porn shop would have been a good title for like straight to the NSFW.
people might remember that, everyone called my room here the pawn shop because I've got the guitar hanging up, I've got all this stuff behind me. So I thought, let's turn the camera back around and show the pawn shop off again. Look, like hats in the background.
It's the accent. It's the accent. Porn. It does sound like he says porn shop when he says pawn shop.
It's not that kind of show.
PAWN pawn shop. Yeah, so say hi to the chat. Say hi to everybody. We got Mo and Travis, obviously.
Apex Comics.
Hey,
Hello,
Apex. I'll be on with Apex. Was it Rex? Apex, Rex, and Hex tomorrow.
Hex. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
We got Shadowhawk. And we got Will from Creators Outlet. I don't know if you've done Will's show yet, but that would be worth it. He's a lot of fun.
Someone who I will be
back
using
both covers.
Go Hocky, go!
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
And we got Ollie with us as well.
Hey, Ollie.
And look, it's you. And then we've got Edwin, the Ace Acevedo.
It always takes me forever to type out his name.
Right? Because it's always, you remember when it was like Bloodbone, Ash Can, something now on Fun My Comic? It was like, dude.
Now it's Edwin the Base Volume 3 coming soon, Acevedo. It's still kind of long.
Remember when it was like Buzz for when it was Swarm, when he was helping with Swarm? He's always changing it around a little bit.
Which is awesome. But on StreamYard, it doesn't auto-populate, so you have to type out the whole thing exactly correctly, which is why if your name is long enough or has too many special characters, I will sometimes not at you and just be like, hi. Like when I'm on my phone. Okay, so, I already started babbling.
You've been a long-time viewer of the channel and a valued participant in the Sunday night karaoke streams that we used to do. And I've been looking forward to talking with you about your book. But first, we have a tradition on this show where we have to get to know a little bit more about you. So, like some of your contemporaries, Bancroft, the Bartons, and Thumbledina, you hail from the land down under. What kind of comics did you read growing up in Australia?
Well, it's kind of bizarre that growing up... So I lived in a small country town, so my opportunity to get comics were very limited. So I was actually, oh God, my collar's up. Sorry about that, folks. Look at this. Wardrobe
tags, y'all.
Anyway, so my limited reading was like comic strips, like Garfield. There was a series in Australia from New Zealand called Foot Rock Flats. Fantastic comic strip. If you ever see that, I'd highly recommend that one. Snake was another Australian one. There's just all these comic strips I used to read. Garfield was one of my biggest. And then when I went on holidays with the folks, with the parents, I'd pick up a comic every now and then, like a What If, or something that I could just at least get one comic of and read. Wasn't until when Batman 89 came out, that's when I started getting into comics. So Batman, I just fell in love with Batman, and Catwoman afterwards, that and all that. So I started collecting all my comics then, and so that was kind of my main foray into comics. Was, I would say, Batman more than anything when that came out, and comic strips. I actually did.
And
sorry, that you were gonna say?
No, there might be a little bit of a delay. Please go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I was just like, I did draw a lot because I was getting Garfield stuff. I was drawing Garfield, and Mad Magazine was another big thing. So I was collecting Mad Magazine, drawing pictures from that too. So that's kind of where I thought I wanted to go originally when I was young. I was going, let's do comic strips. And then, sort of fell off the bandwagon when you leave high school. Life changes. Trying to find your way in the world. And I didn't really do much in the way of comics or reading comics or drawing for most of the next, 20 odd years. I'd pick up stuff every now and then. So I'd just, something that I could just grab and read, like trade papers and things like that. And it wasn't really until I got in 2016, I think it was, I was working, and a friend of mine was working, and we both were losing our jobs. And we said, let's do a comic strip. So he and I started up a comic strip ourselves. We did for like 3 years until he passed away, sadly. But in that time, I was working on my art and getting more comics and reading, and I actually had a comic shop for a while as well. So there's that,
That's
so
cool. I didn't know.
sort of getting into all of those things again and drawing again was, it was fantastic. So yeah. So
Mo says
yeah.
Hocky was reading Mad Magazine while posing in Lad Magazine. And he wants to know what's wrong with Cracked, which is...
Why Mad Magazine?
Yeah, why not Cracked? Cracked was a great
I didn't have
magazine,
Cracked
and
yet.
I like appreciate the joke. Crack Pack Bow,
Yeah.
third day.
I liked
Okay.
Mad Magazine
But-
too. I liked Spy vs. Spy, but also in the back where they had the photo where you had to, well, not the photo, but the artwork, and you had to fold it together and then
yes.
put the other picture. And... Shut up, I was little!
Yeah, don't worry. I actually can see the bag of a stack of my Mad magazines over there. So my folks brought them up to me. So
That's
Australia
awesome.
actually had her own printing, but it was still the US. So all of the artwork, but it says Mad Magazine Australia on it as well. And there was some comic Australian cartoonists that were doing stuff in Mad Magazine as well. So there was this one that I absolutely adored. He was on this TV show in Australia called Hey Hey It's Saturday. It's kind of like a
Clever title.
comedy variety show. And they had a cartoonist there, and he was so quick. You'd think they'd say something on the screen, and then 2 seconds later they'd show the picture that he drew of that. I'm just going, how did you draw that so quickly? So very impressive artist, and he did his own children's show once, and he was doing stuff in Mad Magazine too. So he was a bit of an inspiration as well.
Was that
I can't
the
remember his name,
inspiration?
but
Was that the inspiration for the show that you used to do? Was it Win, Lose, or Draw?
Yeah.
What was it? What was the name of it?
Pe-
You used to do a
Pencils at
show.
The Pencils at Dawn.
Yeah, that's it. Pencils at Dawn with Hocky. I loved that, man. That
Yeah,
was
that was a lot of
always
fun.
such a good time. Creative idea for a show. Wonderful opportunity to get other artists on and get involved, bring the community together more like that. And also really fun to give some control over the show to the chat. Definitely a mistake in some cases, but hey, always fun. Always fun. Always a
it
good
is
time.
fun. I did love doing that show. The hardest part was just getting different guests all the time. So I did stop it. There is some interest from people that want to bring it back. So I may do it again, but I won't be a regular weekly show, maybe once a month or something like that. So I'll get an artist, or
I
maybe
know
even a
Dark
couple of
Gift
artists.
has started doing his version of sort of a Pencils at Dawn show. I think he had Reenie versus somebody, or was it Reenie versus Dillard? I think it was Reenie versus Dillard, and they had another one. But I think your version of the show was a lot of fun. It was definitely something that I enjoyed. You know, you were first, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely give you credit there where credit is
and it
due.
was like,
So
I didn't know what we're drawing. It's all randomized, and just going, I have no idea what. And you got to try and figure it out within the time limit of what you're going to draw and bring it up. It was, I really loved doing that. And I was on Jason Krager's show just recently. I think I might be able to get him on as well. So for a show, I'll bring it back if people are interested. And we'll do some.
I had a fun time watching that. Just make sure it's at a reasonable time for us, because
I used to watch it while I was
days.
cooking dinner, because that's just the time that I wound up being on.
Right. So what kind of comics are you reading these days? Is there anything off the rack you could recommend, or any crowdfunded titles in particular that have captured your interest?
I'm sorry, I have to stop and interrupt because this is
because it's Mo Biggs.
Because it's Mo Biggs, but this is good even for Mo Biggs. How can a man succeed without luck in business and love? Dress your best to get lucky, and you fold it so it says Hocky. Because you're talking about the foldings.
Oh yeah,
Whoa,
that's actually a really good
okay,
advertisement there.
See?
Well done. I was like, you actually put effort into that.
See?
I've never
Well done,
attempted the fold-ins, the mad fold-ins, but Mo, look, I'll see if I can come up with something for that. So
Oh, that'd be cool. Sorry, you can ask your question again now.
My question was what are you reading these days? Anything off the stands, and what crowdfunded titles have you read that you could recommend?
So again, I am limited to what I can read. I don't have a comic shop here. My closest comic shop is 3.5 hours
Shipping is
away.
insane. Yeah.
Shipping
Yeah.
is insane.
Oh wow. Ugh.
So I'm actually going to Sydney next week. I'm planning to pick up the new Transformers trade paper because I've heard it's amazing by
yeah, it's
is it
good.
Daniel Warren
Daniel
Johnson.
Warren
Yep.
Johnson.
Yep.
I've heard that's
And Jorge
fantastic. So I want
Corona
to get
took
that
over
one and the
after
prequel to that.
issue 6, I think.
Mm.
It's still really good.
So
Yeah, the whole Energon
yeah.
universe has now come together under one title too. It's just
Yeah.
called the Energon universe, which is neat.
So I'm really interested because I love the story and the artwork. So I love the two together. Now I will try different things generally. So I don't often go with a superhero, though this just arrived in the post because it's Silvestri. So I was going,
yeah, we read that. That was good.
That was
Yeah.
that series was a lot of fun. It was really well told. Up to the climax. The climax, like people have their different opinions on how the series ended, the miniseries. But I have to say the ride to get there was thoroughly enjoyable.
It was really good.
And the
Yeah.
art was great, and Silvestri really did something great there.
Yeah, that's it. Like I got that because I want to read it. I want to check it out. I want to obviously Silvestri artwork. You can't. It's hard to match. Of
You
course.
can't pass that up. Yeah.
I was going to say the back of, I think it was the first or second issue, had a black on black spot gloss design on the back, and that was actually the inspiration to do the Russ Leach cover on Judex, to do the black on black spot gloss.
It was actually really understated and very elegant.
Because I saw it, I'm like, we have to put that on a book. I don't know what book it's got to go on, but it's got to go on something.
And then
I'm like,
giving Silvestri the freedom to do that how he wanted to do it resembles a lot of like the Image philosophy of doesn't have to be 24 pages, doesn't have to be normal size, doesn't have to have a regular standard cover, just giving Silvestri the freedom to tell it a little bit longer form, having special covers to have it stand out more, doing the spot gloss and the black on black on the back. God, try and say that.
I know, right?
That actually I think is a very good philosophy for comics. Honestly, we're stuck in a cookie cutter situation here. We need a lot more people trying to break out of the mold by doing stuff that's different sizes, different formats. Hell, I want to see Brian Bitvitas come out with a pop-up book, comic book. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see people doing different stuff to break out of the mold. Manga is great because it's got great stories, it's got great artwork. Mo's gonna cancel us.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
but the biggest problem that it has, other than it being pure weeb degeneracy, is that it is so structured. Like everyone has their whole collection of manga and it's all got the spines with the same picture and the numbering and everything, and they all fit nicely into like the shelf and whatever. And something about that feels, I don't know, sterile and unimaginative. I guess they keep all of the content inside the book, the fun and exciting stuff, so they don't really make the outside resemble the inside in that regard. But I would love to see more comic books, longer format stuff that's really trying to experiment with the physical presentation of the book, just to further differentiate itself from what we all have come to expect, like comic book. I want something that.
I was just thinking about a book. So you asking about books that I enjoyed, and I don't know if you've read Rising Stars by Michael Straczynski. It was a superhero one. Anyway, there's something in that like I remember, and it was one of the best pages I've ever seen. And in it, there's this guy that can. He's basically, there's nothing on the panel except for him sitting in a chair. And that's it. So he's just sitting there, this full panel, full page shot of him just sitting there. And then you flip the page and there's like these characters on a white background, like just these characters standing there. There's word bubbles, but all the word bubbles are backwards. And he's going, what is going on? So you go back to the first page, hold it up to the light, and it's ghosts showing through. And I thought, holy smokes, it's using the medium of a page.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
Cool.
The Japanese would never try anything like that. They would never experiment and go out of bounds. That's the stuff that I think really separates Western comics from Eastern comics. But Bande Dessinée is great too. The larger format, the brilliant and beautiful painting. And honestly, I would imagine that you would really appreciate those style of books because on your campaign page, you said, let me see here, while American comics often feature superheroes, you're drawn to stories that take the medium in new directions. So I have a question
Yes.
for you. How does Curiosities and Oddities Emporium do that? How does it take the medium in a different direction?
Well, it's definitely not a superhero story. Let's just say that. The way that I think of many comic books is it's focused towards that superhero action. It's very action orientated for most things. I won't. Speaking of action, it's just a little cold here, so I'm just going to get my blanket. Sorry.
Oh, you're gonna put your blanket on?
Yeah, just gonna put my blanket on. It's a little cold here. Anyway. Anyway.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's yeah. So for me, I'm trying to tell a story that is different because it's people are they're coming to comics to think, oh, action superhero. There's no action in this. There's one scene that that has a little bit of action. Like she clubs some bloke. So I'm just I'm breaking out of that mold. In the future, I'd like to break out more and do a lot more different stuff like that. Using the pages like in that Michael Straczynski book, the Rising Stars, things like that just blow me away. And if I can do that in future things, now this is my first book. I'm trying to do as much as I can. It's still a learning process, but yeah, I think for me, it's just trying to think about stories differently than just a simple superhero beat 'em up, whatever. And telling that I've read a few. There's one here. I don't have it. I think it's on the shelf up here somewhere. And it was about a robot girl who is basically like a smartphone, but it's a robot girl. It's called Smart Girl, and just fascinating to think, this unusual story being told. It was kind of a typical, in some regards, like Ghost in the Shell type stuff. She discovers that she's more than just a robot type of stuff. So, there is things like
doing
that.
Action can be hard. Doing gestures and motion, stuff like that. For artists, it can be very difficult to like get yourself into that mindset to do perspective and to do kinetic artistry. And that's one thing that, Western comics, especially American comics, distinguishes itself, right? Like the action in American comics is a very big focus, big splash pages, exciting things happening, explosions, guys punching through walls. And it's an entirely different feel than something that's more character driven, story based, something where the action is taking place inside of the characters, not outside in the world. So I'm getting that feel definitely from Curiosities and Oddities Emporium. I tripped over it once. But how do you think it distinguishes itself from other stories of its type, and what genre do you think best fits the book?
Yes, that's where it distinguishes itself from that. I would say it actually kind of fits in neatly with a lot of stories. That my inspiration for a lot of this is Twilight Zone. Like how Twilight Zone was very like just weird. Weird stuff would happen. So Twilight Zone, I think, not that I saw much of that. Was it Black? Something Black
Mirror?
Yeah.
Black Mirror?
Anyway, is it Black Mirror? Yeah. Black Mirror, that's right.
Roboting because you opened that up and off.
Yeah, so that's.
I think it's Black Mirror. It was a sci-fi show.
I think it's Black Mirror. I think you're right. Yeah.
But it was episodic, and it was.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, they're one-off stories. And I kind of like that idea. Like, I saw one episode of Black Mirror and it turned me off. It was the pig one. If anyone's seen the pig one with the British Prime Minister, yeah, that made me not want to see it anymore. But to me, I saw those things and I'm going, oh, could that be done in a story? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I saw that type of stuff and was going, well, I like that genre. I really like that. Can that be done in a comic book? I think it can. So, so that's where I'm coming at it from. Now, the Curiosities shop is a new factor on top of that. It's so all the stories that will come from this, I say one-off story. You don't have to read anything else, but it's all centered around items sold from the shop. So getting that needful things vibe to it. So if people are interested in just that weird, oh, what does this item do? Oh, that's weird. That's strange. So that's kind of where I'm going now. Don't tend to tell straight stories, so I don't want to go into that too much because if you get it'll I think you'll enjoy this book. But traveling in time could have some ramifications that
some timey-wimey stuff going on. So
yeah, exactly.
You're a solo act though, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how did you assemble like everything you needed to do Curiosities and Oddities Emporium? What's it like juggling all the moving parts entirely on your own? You have to do the story, the scripting, the layouts and storyboarding, the art itself. Then you have to do any of the grayscale or gray tones that you're doing, the ink wash, whatever. Then you have to do lettering. You have to do all of the the editing and the pre-press. There's a lot of work that goes into just making the comic. How do you juggle that? And do you think it would have been easier to delegate some of it to someone else?
It probably would have been, but I guess I'm a little bit of a control freak in that regard. I just want to, because I've got the story. So I came up with a story. Actually, I do this little project, this little activity every now and then, whereas I just sit down and I'll just see how many stories can I get out in a short amount of time. So I'll write a sentence or a paragraph or whatever like that, just a little thing. And this was one of those stories. And when I came to just going, I've got to do a book now. I was trying to get another book done. That sort of had fallen through. And I had to go, I need to do something now. And this was playing on my mind. And this story, so it came from just, I think, as I was writing it, I think it's probably at 3 lines of story, and so I took that and then just started building on it, adding a little bit more. As I started illustrating it, I added more to it because I had so going from just some story and then trying to get it on the page, you've got to think about page turning and what's being revealed in each page. So you've got where are you going to put this? I've got a double page spread in there. Where am I going to put that? How? I have to build up to that. So I can't have a double page spread over a flip page, of course. So thinking about how to tell the story has been very fascinating, breaking it down. And I've got a lot of hey Dean, breaking down the story to fit. Yeah, I don't know if actually this book has been very helpful as well.
How to draw comics?
No, how comics
work.
Dave
how
Gibbons,
comics work.
Yeah,
Gibbons,
it kind of
by Gibbons.
I haven't seen that
this
book,
he is the illustrator for like heaps of shit, but now my brain has just gone from my head as I was thinking, but like British artist, writer, illustrator,
He's best known for his
some of-
collaborations with Alan Moore, which for which he did
Yes.
the miniseries Watchmen, and
Watchmen, that's
for The Man Who Has
that's what I
Everything, the
said. But he's
Superman
been around
stories. He
for-
also worked for 2000 AD. Wikipedia is our friend. He did
Yes.
Kingsman.
Yeah,
He
so,
did Green
like,
Lantern. He did some Rogue
extremely
Trooper.
talented.
Ooh, nice.
So and Tim Plinch, he's a writer. David's the artist, but David's done writing, storytelling. So this actually it's kind of a whirlwind tour through the whole comics. Like, it's fairly thick, but he goes from, right from the start, how to come up with stories, all the way through to coloring, inking, lettering. But it's like in short bites, maybe 2 to 4 pages worth of information on each thing. But it's that has actually just been very helpful in telling, like, going, oh, okay, this and this and this. That's what I got to think about. And so learning little bits and pieces, going, when you come into a new page, you want to establish the story, where you are. So all those things that are playing your mind, just going, oh, that's right. Where is she? Where's the main character now? Oh, she's here. Where's the main character now? Oh, she's here. I've got to show that. So it's been very interesting. And watching movies does help. Like, so seeing movies, seeing other comics and how they do it, establish shots, establish story, it's just kind of fascinating to do. But yeah, I am the solo act. I've been I just thought, you know what, let's see if I can come up with this. And
Well,
so
it's definitely a good.
I have had some help, though.
It's a good premise. I was going to say, you're surrounded by talented artists and storytellers and writers. The community that we've developed here in indie comics is also very supportive, right? So I'm sure that you've like checked in with some of the people in our immediate circles to either get advice or to have them check out your work and stuff like that. And I got to ask you one of the most important questions that I ask everybody that I have on the show: who is your editor?
My wife is my editor. So she actually did professional writing degree at university many years ago, and she hasn't really done much in writing since, unfortunately, but she has that knowledge there. So I'm getting her to go over it. However, on the art side as well, I've got Billy Basco, I've got Jason Bascom, I've got
Dan,
even Shelby Robinson.
He's around. Shelby's great.
Shelby's been helping me with a few things as well. So it's having, especially with Jason, who's produced 3 books. There's a 4th on the way now. That's he's receiving. So he's been doing. Actually, he's got 5 books. He's got another one that he did for someone else. So he's a professional artist who's been doing it for ages. So having him there as inspiration as well. Billy's been Billy Basco. He's been it's very helpful. We pick on Billy a lot, but he is like a fantastic friend, and he's been so helpful. He will tell me if something's wrong. So I go, oh, that looks terrible. Like that. It's going, oh, okay. And I'll just go, damn you, Billy.
As long as you trust their opinion, or I should say, as long as you value their opinion. It's not even about trust their opinion. It's value their opinion, because that person is actually taking effort to tell you what you're doing that isn't working, and attempting to help you strengthen your work so that it is even more appealing. Why the hell would I want to do that for some ungrateful little fuck who doesn't really want to take my advice?
That's right.
Anyway,
I'm gonna interrupt and read some comments from the chat. First of all, hi Aldous. Aldous says Tim's a legend, wonderful historian of comic lore, pretty good writer too. And hi Dean. He says there are some things that you will only learn when actually making a comic. I learned so much after my first comic that wasn't mentioned in any other book. That is very true.
Yeah. And Mo brings up the point that it wasn't until Joe Thunderbuns edited The Lucent that Bancroft learned how to draw human hands.
And that's why editors are so important.
And that's the thing. He probably would have just let it go, and we would have mercilessly teased him about it. And we still mercilessly tease him about it, but it's not in the book.
Right.
So
Not
if
in-
you get the Lucent, the finished product is, the hand is not a creepy ginger root. But he made that his own too, and it became
Yeah.
something that pulled all of us together because the community kind of
They
had
had
his back
magnets, too.
with the whole, hey, that thing looks like trash, get rid of it. If he'd been indignant and not taken the criticism, it would have alienated people. But instead, admitting, oh yeah, that kind of looks like shit, it brought everybody in the chat together. Of course, like I said, we mercilessly tease him, but like the trolling is, ask Mo Biggs. The trolling is the showing of appreciation and support, right?
Yeah, and it's good to have another set of eyes to really, because like you said, there's so much that goes into it. You have to remember like your pacing. How many do you have too many pages with the same number of panels on them? Are things placed right? Do you have flow? Like all of that comes into play, and sometimes especially when you're doing the story and the art, it can be hard to like zoom out enough to really see all of those things and really ask those questions like, am I telling the story visually as
tough
well
for solo acts, especially.
Yeah.
Especially solo acts who are doing it for their first time.
And
you
that's
definitely need to have a cadre of people supporting you.
The benefit of a solo act is that I can afford myself,
Yes.
So
that is fair.
So as a bunch of other people would know in the chat and not, that if you are hiring someone, you have to pay them.
Yes.
I don't have to pay my
real
wife,
money.
or trade with them. I've seen a lot of people trade services. Artists trade covers and pinups and stuff like that, or backups. Writers will trade with people, editing services. If you've got actual talent, writing and in comics, especially for layouts and how to make a comic book. So like trading is definitely a thing that gets done, but yes, payment is often required for your services.
That's
right?
And like trading is still payment in some regards. I did some artwork for Frog G, and I said, just draw stuff for me, So I was lucky in that regards. But
Mo is correcting you. He says 3 words: exposure.
Yeah, that's a currency that can't be bought.
Yeah, that's only Mo can
except
pay
for
currency.
advertising but no, like for Mo-exposure is a currency that can't be bought. Yeah,
exposure. Goodness.
Mo-exposure. Mo-exposure. Yeah.
Mo-exposure. Yeah. So being a solo act, it's just my time that I'm putting into it. I don't, whatever I make from the campaign, which it's not a big campaign, it's not going to really make a lot of money. That's fine. I don't care. I had a story that I wanted to tell, and this is it. This is my story, and I'm really happy with the story. Whether other people enjoy it.
Speaking of the story, I'm just going to cut you off. Let's take a look at this story, this campaign page. Hocky, are you ready to show us your cock? Your creator-owned comic. I'm sorry. I had to this one time. This one time. So give us the pitch. What is Curiosities and Oddities Emporium about? Like, who are the protagonists? It's the young woman. Who are the antagonists? What's the central? Give us the pitch. I know it's right there on the campaign page, but
it is. So this is a story about Jenny. Jenny is a sort of next door girl. She's quiet. But she's been asked to come to this party she doesn't want to go to. She eventually thinks about it. She walks past this shop while she's thinking about it and goes, "Oh, I'll wander in there." She goes, "I'm looking for a dress," and sees this dress in the shop, which is literally a dress that she had a dream about. And so she buys the dress. She goes home, puts it on, and turns around, finds herself in a jazz hall in the 1920s. Initially is freaked out like anyone would be. I would be. I'd be going, what the friggin' hell's going on? She learns the power of the dress. So she takes part of it off. The dress is, I use the term dress loosely. It's the whole outfit. Just for story writing, it just worked out better. She learns that the power that she puts it on, she can travel. And she starts to enjoy herself over that time. She's going, you get to go to a free party every night, anonymously. So she starts to enjoy herself at this party. eventually Curiosity gets part of her that she wants to learn more about where she's traveling to. And she discovers that it was a real place and that someone actually was murdered on the night she goes back to. And she realized, she is the only one who could solve this murder. So she thinks that the dress came to her because she's the only one that can solve it. So and it's all tied within that. So she starts trying to find the victim and the murderer. So that's where I won't say anymore. But
so she uncovers a mystery. She uncovers a mystery in a 1920s jazz hall because a special dress that she had a dream about allows her to travel back in time to the jazz era, which I think is a really neat premise. The premise is very cool. It's very, like you said earlier, you mentioned, well, crap, I just forgot the name of the show, The Precious Things. Damn it. What is it? The show about the stuff. Meaningful Things? Is it Meaningful Things?
There's
Needful
a movie.
Things. That's it. Needful Things.
The Stephen King story.
Right.
And then there's Warehouse 52, is it? Warehouse 13? Warehouse 13.
Where they keep all of the stuff guarded by
like the Covenant to, Ark of the Covenant and all that kind of stuff held in this warehouse.
So I thought that that's a very neat premise, but then you step away from that, use that as a springboard into the real story, which is about Jenny. So the Curiosities and Oddities is a great place to come back to. That's your Crypt Keeper, right? That's the setup for the episodic format, which is serialized, not in series. You can take it at any time, any place. It's a very, a clever way of setting that up. But then the story itself is about a woman wearing a time traveling dress that takes her back to the 20s, where she encounters a murder mystery and decides to get to the bottom of it. And we still have to understand in all of that why the dress came to her in the first place, like you said. Where it came from.
She's just an average. I get picked on because she's a very attractive lady, but she's that not a cat lady, but she her idea of a Saturday afternoon is sitting on the lounge reading a book, that type of stuff. So she's
boring.
She's not a party person, but
she's boring. It's okay.
Hey, books are boring.
But no, so she's people who sit on the couch reading them are boring.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So she's she's just a quiet girl who but this adventure had been sort of thrust on her, and the excitement of that builds up. So that also comes into play when she just discovers that someone was murdered, and she goes, "What can I do? I'm just this average person, and there was a murder that happened, 100 years ago. What can I do about it?" And so that's
and it draws her out of her shell. That develops the character, or develops her character, where she takes more risks.
That out.
Maybe makes her a little bit more of a adventurous person, not as boring. Someone who takes charge in her life, takes actualizes that kind of thing. So it's very possible to see the through line for her development, and also the interesting story as it unfolds, and if that in some way affects the modern world that she comes back to, because that portal through which she travels the dress has to have some sort of meaningful connection to the store that it winds up in, or maybe the place somehow is of significance. Like, what if the store was the jazz hall? You know what I mean? Like, if she keeps going back to the jazz hall, then the jazz hall is a significant spot. You can't just transdimensionally locate through time and space. You go back to the same spot, right? That's the rules of time travel.
There's a story, another Stephen King story. Whether you like Stephen King's stories or not, I don't like him as a person at the moment, but his stories are still amazing. There's a story
Hourglasses. It's very clever.
1964, 63. When was JFK assassinated? Sorry.
60,
way before I was born.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, it's a story about a guy that goes through a door in this
63.
restaurant. 63, yeah. So this guy that goes through a door in this restaurant, and he arrives in 1960, I think. So he arrives actually in 1960, but every time you go through that door, it resets. He always comes back to the same spot in the 1960s. So, and he decides that he wants to stop the assassination of JFK. So he lives his life for 3 years in that time period, waiting so he could stop the assassination. So this is kind of like that in regards that she travels back in sort of like a groundhog type scenario, and she has to go, well, if I save this person, I can't go back again. So there's another factor that she's going, well, once I
oh, then
save
fuck that guy. Free party.
Yeah.
Don't let me in the dress, man. That'd be terrible.
I know, yeah. So that's where she has that dilemma as well. She's going, well, what do I do? I can save this person. I won't be able to ever go back. Ultimately, she makes the decision to save the person. So, yeah.
I want to interrupt and talk a little bit about the dress. I'd only looked at this on my phone before, because we only just got back from our trip. This is the first time I'm like seeing it on a larger screen. So I just kind of
noticed the hourglasses.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a Art Deco geometric pattern before, but I like the
thoughtfulness in the details of the dress, because Hocky has put in some thought into it.
Yeah. Originally this story was, I wanted to set it in the 1800s because I love the Victorian era, gaslight, masquerade balls. That's originally where I wanted to go. But as developing the story, I found that time period didn't work for when she wanted to do research to try and figure out. I just going, newspaper articles. You're not going to find newspaper articles from the 1800s. At least as easily, there won't be any articles on the internet about it so much and things like that. So that's where I struggled with that. It ended up changing to the 1920s, being that flapper period with the dresses, and it actually works a lot better. I do still love the gaslight era, and I'll probably tell a story about that at some point. But
a different story.
But when I was designing dresses, I'm going, well, I've got to put some type of time motif into the dress. And I was looking up, doing some research, and going, okay, what images represent time? I think I tried to throw as many in as I could. So we've got hourglass. There's actually multiple hourglass shapes in there. There is a rosette it's circles. So that's 4 circles linked together. That also is to represent time. I think the stripes next in the chest area there's 3 stripes on either side. I think if I remember correctly, I designed this like a year ago. So I believe that symbolizes time as well. So all these little pieces in there, they're actually just going, oh yeah, do with time hidden in there. So yeah,
neat.
And there's also the other curios that are inside the mannequin, which I thought was also neat, having a mannequin that opens up. I like that. That's they should make those for real.
I think so too. I just go, the
you
mannequin
just have extra mannequins, and the mannequins would be naked. Because your stuff would be on the floor. Yeah, you wouldn't put the shoes back.
The shoes would still be on the floor.
Yeah.
At least I don't own that many shoes.
19 years, guys. 19
Why
years.
doesn't that
He
exist?
hasn't killed me yet.
A cool thing. So
yeah, I did. I think that was a neat design.
Yeah. I wanted to have more parts to it. Again, it's part of storytelling. I didn't want Jenny to be in the middle of a jazz hall undressing. So I've made some parts where she can just take off part of it to come back in time. So though she's dressing there, look, you get to see her in her underwear a couple of times in this book. So but
so I see you're doing the Bancroft no titties, no nipples. Yeah. All right, I understand. I respect that. I do.
There is a silhouetted shower scene later on, but
hey man, I approve of shower scenes. Yep, I do. I approve of shower scenes. So who is this book for? If you were going to market this book, who would be the target audience, the marketed audience?
I always struggle with that
I know,
question.
me too. People who
Because-
like books.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Everyone. My book is for everyone.
yeah, it's I'm a person who doesn't like to put much swearing and too much sexual stuff in things. I like there's a place for that. So in that regards, this story doesn't have much. Obviously we see a chicken semi-naked, in her underwear, but there's no sexual stuff. There's no
chicken for
there's
something.
no coarse language in this book. So
Okay.
it can be read by someone in their teens, but to me, I think it's probably just someone who's probably someone who just wants to read mystery stories, or there's that time travel element that does break out of that a little bit. But just someone who's interested in just a murder mystery more than anything. So if you like murder mystery stories, this fits into that genre. It's not an action, so that's where I sort of feel, which I'm extremely grateful that so many people have backed this book, considering it's not a superhero story, that it's not action, and they're taking a punt in seeing this mystery story rather than an action story. So yeah, anyone who's just interested to see a more slower paced storytelling than you would see in a comic. So yeah, though it's still only 24 pages, so it's a quick read.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So on the campaign, it says fulfillment by the end of the year. What
Yes.
stage in the process are you at in completing the book?
Well, I'm probably about 70% done, really. So
What does that include? Art and letters and pre-press and all of that, or are you just talking about like the art and story?
So the layouts are all done, the lettering's all done. The only thing now is just finishing off the artwork, and so everything now I do have to pass it on to my wife to do some more editing stuff for me. So I've just got to sit down with her to do a bit of that. There's a couple of pages that I'm just not happy with the wording in there, if she can look at that. But so I've actually I can give this to people to read right now. Now some of the pages will be very rough, but you can read it. I actually gave it to Luke, Death Metal Hero, recently to get his opinion on the story as well. And yeah, he was able to read it fine, with no issues. So you can, it is in a stage where you can read it. So it's just cleaning up the artwork now to make it look pretty. After that, it's done. My goal is to have everything art-wise done by the end of next month.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's great.
That's fast.
So it's black and white. I don't have to deal with color. So there is that issue. I am grayscaling it myself, but if I can get all the artwork done by the end of next month, and again, my first book, I'm still learning, and I'm kind of a perfectionist in some ways. I'm just going, I'll noodle over.
About that.
Yeah, I'll noodle over things. It's going, that doesn't look quite right to me. And then the following month my goal is to get it to the printers and hopefully distributed by the end of next month. Now, obviously things can go wrong, so that's why I've put out a longer stretch to the end of the year, because who knows what will happen. Maybe my arm will fall off and I have to start learning to write with my other hand. So who knows? So so there's things that I just wanted to leave a big enough gap in case something happens. Paper shortages.
Smart.
Like we've had, things like that.
Yep.
And printing is causing an issue. So that's why such a long thing. But if I can get it out in the next 2-3 months, that's my ultimate goal. Again, I'm just mostly relying on myself to push myself through to get it done. Yeah, well, we'll have it then. I just wanted to get it out so everyone could read it. You know, what people think of my writing and my art, I'm still skeptical of myself. I was going, I look at myself going, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I really like the story. I'm enjoying drawing it. Whether other people do, I don't know. But if I can get it out to them, and it'll hopefully people do enjoy it. So when the next one comes, they'll go, oh yeah, no, he did well on this story. I'd like to see more. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So then I got to ask you, because I always ask people about like the nitty gritty about stuff. Have you found a printer to take on this job? And how did you arrive at your $8 price point?
Yeah, we can talk about that, but after this.
Well, a printer. I've got a printer in Australia that I will probably use. I've got, or I could go to Mixam. We do have Mixam in Australia. The $8 price point, it's like, well, $8 US, it's $12 Australian. To me, that was a reasonable price. I'm paying myself, and I don't, if I make a couple of dollars out of it, woohoo. If I don't, it doesn't matter. I just want to try and get this story out to as many people as possible. And if I can do it at a price where I can get it printed and shipped, well,
shipping is separate. You priced shipping at $13 to the US, which is another question that I had. Why 13 to the US?
So I'm going to be sending it all to a critical outlet, so he's going to send it.
So are you printing in Australia and shipping it to RJ?
Yeah. I'll
You're not printing it in the US and then shipping the extras to yourself?
I thought about that. I thought about printing in the US
and having them delivered directly to RJ, which is essentially what you're doing.
I did think about that, and that still is up in the air about if I'm going to do that. The decisions I'm going to try and make in the next. However, RJ, he's given me a quote for how much it's going to cost each book, and if I can get enough books, I can send it to him with the extra stuff that. So I've sort of priced the shipping at RJ's price plus what I would be shipping bulk to him. And
divided it down per book. So if you had to send 500 books, then you added $1 or $2 to each of them to cover the cost of sending that.
The more people that back in the US, it will be a little cheaper for me in the end. If I don't sell a lot, I'll take the hit. It doesn't matter. I say, if I take the hit.
I mean, I know to you that it doesn't matter, but one of the things that creators fail and seriously fail, I'd say the majority of creators don't really think about this, and most of them who don't think about it absolutely fail at making their products appealing to consumers. So it's one thing to worry about whether or not you're going to make money or lose money on the book, or what it's going to cost to ship, or what it's going to cost you to pay yourself or whatever. It's an entirely separate story without considering that stuff, to think about what your audience wants to pay for that book and how much they want to pay to have it shipped to them. So they're two separate conversations that are inexorably linked together, but you have to have that other conversation. So what does the $3 US do for you?
Because I had priced it, so so for me it's going to cost me about a part of that is like factoring in the packaging, the printing. So I have done the maths to try and figure out, this price point will leave me with this amount of much money, which I can put towards other things like, people who do have the sign up, they will get a bookmark, stretch goals as well as that. So I've got the wonderful Shelby Robertson that's doing some artwork for me. So I want to print up that. I've got to pay Shelby.
But you got to pay him
as well.
Yeah.
Again,
so it's the extra little bits. I mean, I understand that completely. I did a $20 tier for a comic book that I sold for $5. but that's because it
yeah.
came with a coin and
And-
some glow in the dark prints that cost like, well, that our other printed wanted to charge us $7 each to print. Each
Crazy.
$7,
For
which
the
is
prints.
insanity. So we didn't do that,
Insane.
No,
obviously.
we went somewhere else.
But
So-
yeah, like $7 a piece for the two prints. One was a stretch goal, and one was available on the tier, and then the collectible coin, and then the trading cards, and all the other stretch goals and stuff like that. Like it gets to be a lot, right? The incentives are supposed to get you more backers, though. And if you have to raise the price of the tier to get yourself the incentives, you lose the backers by raising the price of the tier.
Raising the price. So, well, the benefit for this though is it's black and white. If I went color, I wouldn't be able to sell it at this price point, really. Or I'd have to like do a lot more printing and try and sell a lot more. So, being black and white, printers will print a lot cheaper.
Right, which is why I'm asking, what does $3 do? Why not sell it for $5 instead of $8?
Well, yeah, just looked at that price point. You look at it's still a premium, so that's still going to cost me money.
What I'm getting at is I did
I'm not-
Judex for $5.
Okay.
That's all I'm getting at. It's like we did
Yeah.
Judex, which is 30 pages, black and white. And we did variants and everything like that, but that didn't factor into the El Guapo tier, which was our shipping and comic book combined for $10. No stretch goals, just the book. So I'm wondering, is it possible to make a book that you can sell domestically in Australia at conventions for $5 on the cover? Because that's what we got to do, is try and get these prices down as low as possible to get people reading our books again.
With the shipping price, I didn't factor in the shipping price for the materials for shipping. That's actually in this price. So I decided
you're going to take a bit of a hit on that.
So the $8 actually does include the printing plus the backing boards, the bags, and the packaging to send it all into, as well as any stretch goals. So, so I didn't want to.
Well, then RJ, when he gives you his price, he includes all of the materials, plus all of his labor, plus all of that other stuff in the $10 shipping price that he quotes to people. And I'm assuming that the $3 that you added to the shipping offsets what you would have to pay to send him that bulk order. But his $10 shipping price covers all those materials. You're not paying for them.
No, I am. So I'm actually sending him everything. He just has to put it in a backing board and. Not a backing. He just has to put it in a mailer and send it out. That's all he has.
So why is he charging $10? That doesn't make any sense. That makes less sense now.
He's still got labor and such. So
that's not at all. He gave us his breakdown on the show the other time that we had him on, and over $5 was materials.
He's still got materials and he's still got shipping things. So it's what he's quoted me. I'm happy with that.
All right. But you're actually buying materials and sending them to him as well. I would renegotiate your arrangement with him, since he has Geminis and he has bags and boards, and he does all of that stuff in-house anyway, as well as his mailers, his vinyl mailers that are personalized, say Critical Blast.
That's why it's a little bit cheaper for me to do it. That's why. Otherwise, I'd be charging.
I would say you don't have to buy any of that stuff. Just send him the books and turn them loose, because that's what he does with fulfillment. You could even, I mean, I don't know how cheap it is to print in Australia with Mix'em versus in the US with Mix'em, but you might save yourself on the shipping, having 100 books printed and sent to RJ in the US, and then send the overstock back to you.
That's because I want them myself, Neff. I want the books myself. I want to hold them in my hand before anyone else.
Okay,
that's
fair. I get that. That is fair. Do your own quality control. Do your own quality control.
Yeah, I don't want someone else to go, and then send it to me. I want them. These are my books. I want to hold them in my hand. I want to be the first person to have them.
So you're also really doing the fulfillment, because you're packaging up everyone's individual packages and then sending that to RJ, and all he has to do is drop them in the mail.
So it's kind of like
when otherwise I'll be charging you $20 plus.
Right. It was like what we did with you.
Yeah,
when we
for Mavericks,
you all
we
of
sent you
our
all of our. They were already packaged. We just put it in a big box, and then you sent them from you to everyone in Australia.
I've looked at the pricing. As I say, it's to me to send to you is a lot cheaper than you to send to me. I don't
That's
know
true.
why.
Especially with the
US
currency rate.
shipping is like to Australia is stupid, whereas me sending to the US is so much better. So I could, if I was to send this individually to everyone, it's only a little bit more than what. It's probably another. If I would have had to charge you $20 US to ship, rather than the $14 of what I'm charging.
Right.
So RJ is cutting out $6 for me. So, and I think that's pretty good. So, he has quoted me for me doing this work myself. The price isn't quite as much as what he was going to charge me fully. So I'm just going, that's fine.
Okay.
So I wanted to do, and I want to do that myself. I wanted to package up if people want it signed. I didn't put that in the campaign, so but I will email everyone who is backed to say, here's if you want it signed, just let me know. I'll sign it, whatever. So
yeah, you have to sign ours.
Yeah.
I'm still in awe of the fact that people actually want me to write on their book. It's like, wow.
Yes, agree. But I'm not the artist.
I hate it when people write on my books. Like, I bought your book. I don't want you to write on it.
When we were at the Indie Comics Creator Con in March, there were people that asked. I'm just an editor. Like, I don't do anything else. But they're like, no, sign it. You worked on the book. You have to sign it. She doesn't do anything
else. Are you shitting me?
But it's
the amount of work that you do.
The editor to sign the book.
That's
Everyone
true.
asks,
well,
the artist, the writer.
Yep.
But it was
they
fun.
couldn't get Hector. You were the consolation.
That's true.
prize.
I was
How
the
about
consolation.
How about that? You're the consolation prize.
I can't have the artist or have the pink-haired girl.
No, I probably could have done this better. I could print in the US because most of my shipping.
Hocky, it's your first time.
No, you've done a great job for your first time.
It's your first time. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
I'm asking you these questions because you're on my show.
Yeah, I know. The hard questions. No, so yeah, there is some vanity in there. Like I will admit, there's vanity that I want to get this book. So one of my dreams that I have is having my book, framing it and putting it on the wall. So I want to grab that first one off the print and like frame it and put it on the wall. So that
you're gonna have like 13 or so frames. You're gonna get a big wall because you're gonna keep doing books, I assume. Curiosities Emporium could go a long way. Like I could see you coming out with a book a year and just going for 12 years.
That is the plan. I've actually got multiple stories in the works. So, and I've even got a story for the proprietor and the shop itself. There's a big story in there, and I love all the ideas that are coming. I've even got a sequel to this story. I say all the stories I want to be standalone. You don't have to read them in order, but this one will be a direct sequel to the sequel I've got. I do actually have for this book. I'm going, so I do still want to write it in a way where you don't need to read the dress to read this other one. So if I can pull that off,
well, I mean, you could do that very easily. That's a one page, almost like a recap in the beginning, but you don't actually like write it from the perspective of a narrator or anything else. You just have the summary of events replayed through the characters, retelling either to someone or a conversation or something that has one page and boom, they know everything they need to know. I'm doing in Mavericks, issues episodically to do the series, and like in order to like recap something that happens 2 books ago, you can just do a conversation. It's very simple.
Mo says, why doesn't they get letterers to sign it? Because they can't do it on the computer. That's why.
Right? They can't like.
There are not many that rich hand letters.
Rich hand letters, Farron letters.
Yeah, letterers only do it on a computer now. You can't.
Let's end on okay.
Yeah, I do want to. There is heaps of stories like I've got, but I don't want to stick within the same genre of story too. So let's say this is a murder mystery. I can go anywhere with this. I can make it a horror. I do have horror story read. I've got an action. I want to do comedy. I want to be able to do anything
You
with
want to be able to
these,
touch
and
any
even
genre
change
using
medium.
this as a nexus through which
Yeah,
to tell a story.
I
And I
can
think
even
that's a
change
very,
the medium. It
very
doesn't have to be a
clever
comic.
scenario. Like that's a very clever premise, very good setting. You know, there's a lot of potential there. You could even get guest writers or guest
Yes.
artists to come in
Yeah.
and play in that sandbox.
Yeah.
You've enabled a very very versatile property here, and you know, I think that
and
it
that's
has a
what I want.
lot of potential. A lot of potential.
So like you would see in the Twilight Zone, you know, there's directors and there's you know, different actors and different everything. So the whole idea is just to have freedom to be able to do, you know, it's all centered around one place. Yes, there's something that ties it all together, but there's freedom to go with anywhere. Rex actually has a story he pitched to me, and I said, you know what, let's do it. Let's, you know, write that out. We'll figure it out. And you know, I'd have to make some changes to try and tie it into the world more than anything. But he can if he can tell the story that he wants, and I say, yeah, just put this in, or take that out, and we'll go with it. So I want it to be
you're fully funded, right? With 9 days left. Do you have any plans for like a final push? Because the last week of a campaign can usually be the most active week, maybe with the exception of the first week of the campaign. Maybe the last 3 days. So do you have like a final push and a closeout stream planned? And what was?
And
your
are
question?
you going to extend?
Are you going to extend?
I probably will extend. I see that was the thing I was trying to figure out, and going, do I do 3 days, 30 days, and then, you know, just close it, just go bugger it, that's it, you've had your chance to back it. I probably will go the extra 30 just because
you can always just go in demand. Like that's people's chance to back
people
it.
Still back.
I wanted to leave it open. I just wanted to figure out where am I at towards the end of the campaign, and just going, you know what, do I keep on going? Do I stop? Do I not? At this stage, I want to see if I can get the whole book done so that's why I'm thinking I'll probably go the extra 30, say, okay, let's see by the end of the 60 days if I can have the book done. So I probably will go the full 60 days.
Dean says, for what it's worth, I recommend leaving it open until you go to print. And Ollie says 30 days plus in demand would be my choice.
That's why
Kickstarter, the Kickstarter.
That's why the Kickstarter model works well. And Kickstarter just introduced
adding in demand
a new feature to their UI, which is the addition.
It's not called in demand. I don't remember what it's called.
So like everyone being like, "Oh, I like Indiegogo because I could go in demand." Well, yeah, you can do that just about everywhere now.
We have a fight now.
30 plus
30 plus in demand.
Nah, I'm with Ollie on this. If only for this reason.
You don't have to keep campaigning.
That I can say this is the end and do a final 24-hour event stream thing, shebang, and be done. Whereas most people will be like it's the final day and then do another 30 days where they go on a whole shitload of other shows and then do more promoting. And it's like the people who got it in the first 30 days are looking at you going, really, asshole? Really? You got me all worked up and everything, and I put my money aside and gave you that money, and I have to wait even longer now because the campaign hasn't ended. Yeah, but I'm petty.
I know. That's why I was just making sure for our people who are just tuning in and don't know you.
They are absolutely petty, and even if they don't say it, they fucking think it.
Probably. Well, I thought that originally the whole 30-30 thing was because of the promotional side on Indiegogo itself. So it'll go, oh, this is nearly at the close, come and, you know, so it'll start advertising it on their page more. And so you get that twice if you do 30-30. That's what I originally believe that's the whole reason for the 30-30. I'm not going to, if I'm going 60, I'm not worried about doing more promotion. I'm happy where I'm at, actually. If I get to the next stretch goal, woohoo! But I just want to, I can print the book now. People are going to get some extra artwork from Shelby. If people back more, want to back more, get other things, I'm ecstatic for that too. If we get to more stretch goals, I'm ecstatic for that too. I'd love to be able to actually get to the 10K stretch goal where they're all hidden, but that's actually just a bonus for Shelby and for Ink Spots, that I want to give them some extra stuff.
Oh yeah, to give them a little bit of extra work and add their talents to the campaign.
Yeah. So they've done, like, Ink Spots'
Let me put
cover
that on
looks
Facebook.
fantastic.
Oh, okay.
He complained the whole time making that cover, and like, he knocked it out of the park for me. So I really appreciate Ink Spots for that. And
Yeah, Ollie,
Shelby,
I approve of what Ollie said. No,
Go
I'm
hard for
sorry to cut
30.
you off. I'm really excited to see the addition of Shelby, and if you have Shelby working with ink on a little something behind the scenes, if we can get to that stretch goal, I would love to see it,
Yeah.
because I really like InSpot's work, and Shelby's a fantastic talent all on his own. I love his line work and his colors, but ink coloring Shelby would probably be really cool. Ollie's saying go hard for 30, then take down excessive perks when you go into exclusive perks. Yeah, I agree with that.
Wear his glasses.
I agree with that. I also think, well, fuck you for not backing it in the first 30 days. So no, you don't get the stretch goals now.
Can you tell he's been a little cranky?
No, like the first 30 days you get the stretch goals. When it goes in demand, you don't get the stretch goals. Sorry. Like, if you want to get the product because you suck and didn't get it in the first 30, but realize that you're missing out on this book, then yeah, back it. You can get the book, and I'll let you order the extras from the website when they're commercially available after I give them to my backers.
Yeah, that sounds.
Might give you a deal.
I agree.
Might give you.
I agree that. But say I hadn't decided what I wanted to do. Like I say, do I go 30? Do I go 60? I think at the moment, as a timer, going the whole 60 allows that it pushes me to get it done within, like, the first 30 days is just going on streams, and so I don't get as much artwork done. But then the next 30, it's a personal timer for me to say, okay, I'm racing the timer to get it done.
I like that. And then
days.
You can kind of like announce either as it goes into in demand or closes out that it's done, or maybe right before it, that kind of thing. That's cool. I like that.
All right, so let's end strong.
Dean agrees with you.
Yeah, well, I know. I agree with Dean about a lot of stuff too. We disagree on certain things, but those things are generally issues of preference. When it comes to like the actual yes or no, this is the truth, this is not the truth, Dean and I are pretty much eye to eye on everything.
Yeah. But that's actually perfectly right. Like, I think the whole stretch goal thing should be done within the campaign time itself.
Yeah.
So if I don't reach any of those stretch goals that are hidden, then sorry, that's it. It's done.
So let's end on a high note with one final question. What advice would you give to creators who are getting into comics and crowdfunding? What have you learned that you could pass on?
Start small, really. It really does. I had an idea for a big page book, but if you're new at this, I would say start smaller, get your audience. Don't really, just get out there, get seen. I've been lucky enough that everyone in the chat knows who I am. Whether you like me or not, I don't care. But you know who I am. That has helped tremendously. If you didn't know who I was, I don't think anyone in the chat would have backed me.
That's fair, but you have you earned yourself a good reputation in the chat.
Yeah,
so I guess two things then: start small and get recognized. Make yourself known. Earn your presence among people.
Yeah,
and you've done that.
Really, in this day and age, to connect with people is very important. This whole thing about I'm going to go into AI art in particular. People using AI art, there's I've got actually no worries about AI art anymore, because if people want to use it, they can use it, fine. Don't call yourself an artist. That's all I'm worried about. But what people want is to connect with other people. And artwork from humans helps you connect with people. And if you are connecting with people, like in the chats or on streams or just in some type of social medium, you don't have to be on streams, you don't have to be in chats, you could be on Instagram, you could be whatever. If you're known, you look at well, we'll say EVS in particular. Everyone knew EVS before he came into this crowdfunding scene because he'd been doing comics. You look at Jeff Johns, you look at all these. Everyone knows those people. They've had a connection over 20 years of doing comics. So they've already got that connection. Whereas you are coming into it new, you've got to try and get that connection a little quicker. Get out there, just get seen, get known, become friends with people. Become friends with other creators as well. I say I've got Billy and Jason and Dan Plagle, and that as friends, really good friends of mine. So just network, and start small, really. So.
Yep. We got Miranda in the chat coming in the last 5 minutes, and Dean says, I don't consider anything AI creates as art. I agree. Pretty pictures, but art requires soul. Mo says the Baldo was allegedly intended to connect with people. I mean, the Baldo does connect to you, so it does. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably where we're gonna leave it.
I'm trying to find a link to drop in the chat. Because I'm pretty sure that tonight on Reenie's show at 10, 11, I don't know what time it is. Dean probably knows. Dean and Odin are launching the
hell yeah, the
Kickstarter for the, like, if you missed it the first time.
Yeah, the Embrace Comes to Kickstarter campaign. That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure it's on Reenie's, so I can't find the individual thing. My YouTube is being
weird.
That's
great.
So I'm just
Good luck on Kickstarter. That's fantastic.
Reenie's YouTube link in the chat. I don't know why words are failing me.
Because you're trying to type while talking.
Watch links. Yeah, see now I'm typing.
Yes.
You talk, I will type, but I have other things that I want to say.
Well, why don't you just say those things and we'll type that later?
All right, I will do that. Just a little catch up, I guess, for us. We will only be doing shows on Wednesday come June because we are hitting the convention circuit pretty hard. We are
until the fall.
Yeah, we have
every weekend.
Every weekend in June. We'll be.
So we need Fridays to travel.
Hitting up 656 in Mexico.
And
Mondays also.
So do load in.
So for June we will be Wednesdays only. Probably most of July. And August. So just putting that out there.
So we are not returning to regular streaming schedules, and I don't know if we will ever be doing that because I have too much work to do anyway.
But
if anyone is in the area where they will be, go check them out. These people over here are wonderful creators and supporters of the industry.
Appreciate
so if you know that they're in your area, go see them. Please do.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed the content we brought to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Hocky, and talking with us about the book, Curiosities and Oddities Emporium, The Dress.
Look,
I did that without reading anything. Look at me.
Well done.
If you guys wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, it does do a lot to help us out in the algorithm. And don't forget to click the bell for notifications.
And tune into the frequency.
We'll see you next time.